Yeah, thank you. And thanks for, coming to this session toward the end of the day and kind of sticking with it. I don't know if, unified transaction logic, as you hear that phrase, if you have a clue as to what you just walked into. But I'm going to take you through it. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about ECRS and who ECRS is as a company, because I don't know that you may not know ECRS. You might not be aware of them. We have quite a few customers. Many of them are your peers here at AWG. And we work with a number of other vendors that support kind of the ecosystem here with AWG. So who's ECRS? ECRS is a software company based in Boone, North Carolina. And we build software for independent retailers for you to be able to run your stores with. So it is the point of sale system, but it's much, much more. And we give you a lot of value in that software that you don't really get out of your legacy software systems. In fact, one of the things that's on this slide that we're most proud of is we've been voted #1 in grocery for grocery software for 10 years in a row by Retail Systems magazine, and that's a poll of our users. So everybody submits their user base, and it's the users who rank us. And it's 10 years in a row, so we're very pleased that we were able to do that. Focused on independent grocery, and we're committed to develop and perpetually develop and expand our product. So the other thing that's unique about us is that we don't sell through resellers. We don't service through resellers. We're direct. So when you form a relationship with us, a partnership with us, we're serving you directly, and our relationship is direct. So we have a better relationship with our customers, which might be why we rank higher, because there's nobody that stands between us. If we make you a promise, we live up to it. And we're US-based. We're US-based for support and service. We're US-based for software development. And also, we have some pretty unique pieces of hardware that we make that kind of fill the gap. And so I would welcome you to see our booth, which is across the hall from the front doors here, because you'll see things like we make our own scale for the deli, and it runs our software directly. And that we work with Fujitsu to be able to provide self-checkout, but we still can run on all the other self-checkout units. So what's going on in the industry right now, and what you're faced with, and what we're helping you compete and win with, is to be able to go against, you've got labor shortages and you need automation to help with that. You've got, to be able to grow and that the ecosystem of partners, and that ecosystem costs money when you're doing it. I mean, it costs a lot to be able to have these different partners and somebody to supply you with all the different pieces and parts that it takes to make up that system. And then your customers have this expectation that you're going to be able to transact with them seamlessly, not only in the store, in the cash lane, but also online, also at the self-checkout, anywhere that they want to trade with you. Their expectation is that they're going to have an Amazon-like experience. Their expectation is that it's going to be like Kroger's or Albertsons. And, I live in Cincinnati. Kroger's based in Cincinnati. I know their development group. They have 500 developers downtown Cincinnati. And so they can come up with all sorts of things that they may take to the public or may not. ECRS helps level the field by being able to give you a lot of these same functions that you would find in a larger retailer, but I can install it in a single store, and I can give that single store operator all the power that these other guys have. And I love doing that. So legacy POS systems today have been created originally, and this is my opinion, but in looking at the market, they're originally created by companies who made hardware, and they wanted to sell that hardware, so they had to make some software so that you could use that hardware. So the cash registers that you have from some of those vendors, were built by hardware vendors, and they just had to have enough software to get it to work. And then what they didn't have were other pieces and parts that did certain things like loyalty or or e-commerce or these different things that they needed to have. And so somebody else got into that ecosystem to provide you with that, to be able to do computer-assisted ordering and purchasing through the system or whatever it is. There's all these different pieces and parts. Some of them are there for good reason. And so we want to be able to provide you with a set of tools that we provide that helps you run the business. But if you have another piece of software that you love or something that you've done that really makes sense, then we've also got the way to help you use that as part of our system. But those integrations are very costly. And a lot of times you'll invest and go with somebody because they've got the best new marketing piece or the best new e-commerce piece, and then you change your mind because they're not providing the service you want. You have to start all over again, or they get bought by somebody, and then they're not providing you the service that they used to provide, and that. So there's a lot of churn there that's going on, especially in e-commerce, and we helped to kind of neutralize that. So we look at these and we call them silos. If you think about it, I mean, all of these different silos are involved in your store systems probably right now. POS software, click and collect if you're doing online sales, pick up at the store. Loyalty, self-checkout. I mean, self-checkout systems of old didn't really talk to the point of sale system in the lane. They were sent information so that they could sell stuff too, but it wasn't the same system. And it might be that way in your stores right now if you have that. It's two different systems, two different databases, all have to be maintained. What happens at the headquarters level for being able to analyze the sales? Do you sell fuel? Separate application most of the time. Inventory control, can you do perpetual inventory in the store? Can you do a computer-assisted ordering? All separate modules to be able to do electronic payments and be PCI compliant. And that as it goes right down the line for being able to order with electronic ordering and what applications. And a lot of times you would use what the wholesaler provided for those applications and that. So that's all a part of all of those different silos that everybody's been dealing with for quite a few years. And if you actually looked at it from an IT standpoint, and this is of course a cartoon, but if you actually looked at how it's all supposed to work together, I mean, it looks like this. On average, when we go to work with a retailer, we find that they have 18 different silos in their business that they're having to do the care and feeding of to keep to keep trading, to be able to keep the doors open. And they've got these 18 different applications that they've had to acquire over the years and kind of bolt on. And so it's a spaghetti bowl of exactly how these systems talk to each other, and then the next new thing comes along, and how do you connect with it? So that's been the challenge that we've been focused on solving, that particular issue, and what we've done is we've solved that by doing something which we call and that unified transaction logic. And what unified transaction logic means is that every point that your customer is going to buy from you, every point of interaction that they have with you is made to be friction-free and the same. So I can shop in the store and I can see my loyalty account and I can see how many points I've accrued on the receipt, but I could shop online and I could see and receive those benefits that I would have gotten in the store. And not only could I do that, but I could actually go online and look at my previous sales receipts from when I shopped in the store. And could I use those sales receipts to actually make up my next shopping list for my online sales? So it's that seamless flow between those different transaction points. That self-checkout behaves exactly off the same database and has the same interactions that you might have at the regular checkout lane. One of the examples that I could probably give you that is most powerful for what this really means is we came up with something called made to order. And made to order was, hey, you could go to the bakery and you could order a birthday cake and you could do it through the point of sale at the bakery and you could describe exactly how you wanted that birthday cake to be. You could, what it's going to say on it, what color is it, what kind of, everything about that bakery needs to be able to define could be done on the point of sale as part of taking that customer's order. And that's on the point of sale in the store. But we have e-commerce as part of our system too, and so if you were to go onto our e-commerce site, you could describe that same birthday cake through all those same steps because that same transaction logic is on the e-commerce site the same. If I wanted to put a kiosk in the store for customers to self-serve and describe that birthday cake to somebody, without having to have an attendant there to be able to help me place that order in the bakery, they could place that order themselves and go directly through that way. And so that same transaction logic played out. When we created that module to release it to our customers had that available at every customer touch point the day that it came out. It wasn't that we were inventing something new to go here or something new to go there as they were going through it. So unified transaction logic is the traditional point of sale, self-checkout, what we call Click and Collect 2.0, which is our web cart and the capabilities to run on the web. Unbelievably fast to be able to bring a website up. At the beginning of COVID, and that we did 146 different retailer websites in 3 weeks because all the data is already there. It already exists in the store system. We didn't have to build a separate database. We didn't have to do any of that. We plugged it in, and immediately they had a store in the cloud when they went to do that. Mobile point of sale. So somebody wants to do line busting, that's available on the system. Obviously direct payments, which we have tokenized payments even, where you can actually pay by touch with your fingerprint, and it's all PCI compliant. And then loyalty. So we have loyalty and loyalty points, the ability to do something we call loyalty bot, where I can do marketing to somebody, and that's all embedded in the system. Our auto scale, we saw a hole in the market, and that hole was that people were really tired of dealing with scale integration software. I mean, there's really two main players for that, and there's always something that's aggravating about that. So we started to build our own scales, and they use the very same software that runs on the registers. So as soon as you were to send something down to the registers and change prices, those prices are available on the scale. And the technology doesn't poll those transactions like the old software does. It brings it down in pieces as it would normally distribute it to the registers, and so it distributes to the scale too. You're pretty much assured that you're going to have the right prices at your scale, and that whether you're setting them in the back of the store or if you're setting them from your headquarters and sending them down, all part of the system. And then smartphone checkout. So today, a Catapult customer, which is the main name of the system suite, who's running e-commerce, their customers could actually use their mobile phone to shop in the store. Their customers could use the mobile phone to go to their pantry in their home and scan items that they already have, making up their next shopping list. Those are all things that all the big guys are talking about or trying to lead their customers to, and I can put it in a single store, a single independent grocery store, and let them compete away with that kind of capability, and that with only a few weeks of time to get it ready to be able to do that. On the other side of this diagram, you'll really see that we do have perpetual inventory. So we allow you to run a perpetual inventory on the store and know exactly what you've got. And that can even go to the website and tell your customers, oh, I have 4 of these left, if you want to have that. We have the supply chain connection. So our system, through our purchasing gateway, can allow you to do computer-assisted orders. It'll automatically generate computer-assisted orders and then let you do EDI transmission directly to AWG to fulfill those orders as a standard part of the system to be able to do that. And that we have reporting and analytics. I mean, the system comes with, I think, 300 standard reports, but we have a brand new analytics system that we're releasing that's cloud-based that allows you to run the numbers and that on analytics. And then all of the customer marketing. So I can segment my customers and say, oh, this is somebody who belongs to the New Mothers Club, and send emails out to inform them about something that's going on at the store or whatever. And our software will actually look to see if that person hasn't purchased in a certain period of time, and we'll be able to send them an invite to come back in the store. Hey, we miss you. Or I can tell through the analytics that this person has migrated to being a different kind of customer, and I can automatically pull them out of the new Mothers Club to be able to do that. So, and all of that takes a lot of work to be able to make sure, especially as an independent grocer, that you've got all these bits and pieces working. And so that's why we try to make it so that it's automatic, that you can set things up and things will automatically happen for you. I don't have to sit there and figure out, till midnight, how many of my customers haven't been in the store for the last 30 days. The system will look and see if they're a known customer and they haven't shopped in the last 30 days, it's gonna send them a note saying, hey, we miss you, come on back, we've got this special going on, whatever you want to design that note to say, but it'll automatically do that. And then system security across the enterprise, and as well as enterprise management. So we do, we focus on doing a single store, yet we have retailers that are regional independents that have 200 stores. And so it's built so that I can do all of this from a central point and send it down to all the stores and manage all the stores in that manner. So what are the benefits of unified transaction logic? I mean, where's the payback? So what saves time is centralized enterprise management. Everything is a single database. So on the register, there's a database. On the store server, there's a database. It's identical. At your headquarters, there's a database. It's identical. So if I lose connectivity to the store server in the back room, somebody fiddles around with a cable and it gets cut, no register stops selling. Every register knows exactly what the deal is. Every register keeps on selling. Plug the cable back in, server gets updated. If you're running this up to your office, then that database is going to replicate and go up to the office. So you get a view in near real time. So like these folks that have a couple hundred stores, I mean, they can see their sales coming in near real time throughout the day across a couple hundred stores. Unified reporting, and then what saves money is eliminating these silos. I'm really working hard to put a number to this because it changes depending on what your software is and how you use it and what those packages are. But the cost, right now what I'm seeing on average from the retailers that I deal with is they change their e-commerce system vendor about every 3 years. I mean, they're just unhappy, and it's also at a point where e-commerce is in this big churn, and trying to perfect itself, and so the next guy, when my contract's up, has something better, and so they change. But the cost to the business of doing that is not insignificant to be able to have to do that, as well as the other things that might just be a surprise that you can't. I've invested in this vendor who's doing all my loyalty, and they've got my database. And then they get bought by somebody and they're hard to deal with, or they're not performing and they've still got my database of all my customers. So those are the things that we're helping to reduce, eliminate, and also things that save you money. So reducing the technical debt is really what that's about, so that you don't have to keep paying for support on systems that aren't performing. And limiting your integration expense over time. And then giving your customers that unified experience. So they have smooth and easy sailing, no matter how they want to contact you to purchase something. It's the same route. They get comfortable with that. They know that you're providing them real customer service. Unified promotions, and then that web cart e-commerce experience. And we have customers who don't use our web cart, who use the competitor's web cart. I can do a lot of stuff with that. They can send the data in. There's certain things you just can't do. And it really comes down to promotions, because e-commerce systems are not good at running the same promotions that grocers run in the store. Buy 2 of these, get 1 of those on Thursday, whatever it is, whatever somebody cooks up, especially in a marketing department, they are really not that good at being able to manage those promotions. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. And what I'd like to do now is open up to questions. I mean, certainly our setup, our booth, is right across the hall. And we have a number of pieces of equipment like the scales, like some self-checkout that we have there. We can show the e-commerce, we can show a lot of those different things, but I'd really like to be able to, since we have an opportunity to talk here, I'd like to be able to answer any questions that you might have.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you got this capability, but I read an article in one of the trade magazines about a Kroger application where they're sending out push notifications to any of their customers who drive within 1,000 feet of their store. And they're using their database, from the card to get their, to be able to send them the message, even though they may not be shopping with them at that time. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, I mean, I know I have not heard about that with Kroger specifically, but there's been that use case where people wanted to be able to pick up, you got to pick up a signal from their phone, or you got to be able to know from their phone, where they're at. And so by geofencing, you can tell, and then you could push to them. But that's what it would take. And a lot of times, stores will want to do that. Let's say you're in a shopping center, and they're really otherwise it's hard. You can do it with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi if they get on your Wi-Fi network as they walk by the front of the store, because it's probably in a close enough proximity. But otherwise, you'd have to pick that up, specific to coming off of a cell phone. So Kroger does a great job with that. I mean, the store, the local independent down the street from my house, unfortunately, did have to close. And so we're forced to go to Kroger now. And I know the marketing company that they've designed, and I think they sell some of those services. But it's amazing because they know. I mean, I get coupons. I get coupons for the kind of peanut butter I buy.
You drive by the store, you get a coupon on your tag.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there reading about it, and I'm going, I haven't run into anybody that's doing that yet besides them.
And it's really how they would know. It's not once if there's a way to know, I can
Pull in.
Yeah.
I got bananas for half price.
Right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
curious.
Yep. Yeah, good question. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Are you agnostic on hardware?
Yes, we are. So very frequently when we work with somebody, they already own, if it's an existing store, they'll own some hardware that we can already take advantage of and change the software out on and just use their hardware. For instance, some of our customers have the NCR self-checkouts, and some of our customers have old NCR equipment in general, because that's really the system we replace the most. And so we can run on the version 5 NCR self-checkouts and the version 6 that somebody already owns. We just finished some work that we can run on the new Toshiba self-checkouts that are out there for Toshiba users. And then, like I said, for us, we do Fujitsu. But we also have our own line of hardware to be able to provide if somebody doesn't, and they, so we're open to that. We use Zebra, and we, by and large, I mean, any of the stuff that's been made for, the past 15 to 20 years, we've been running on. I mean, the business we've been doing this for 32 years, so it's not new. It's a family-owned company. The family still runs it. The owner is our CEO, the founder, and his daughter is just become the president of the company. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
One thing I didn't hear you specifically call out was pricing. Pricing is a big part of managing a business. Is pricing built into your package?
Yes.
How does it compare to those best-of-breed pricing solutions that everybody's doing?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to how it compares to some of those, but what we do is we have what we call a 360-degree view of a product, and it allows us to see and for you to work on your margins, but also understand exactly what the movement's like. and we grade it. Every item that's sold in the store from the first time you start to use the system, every item is being graded from A to F. And A is your top 20%, and F is your bottom 20%. And then we have different attributes about that. And so you can look up and tell a lot of things about your inventory by being able to do that. And we have different ways of setting the pricing up and that to help with that. That's a good question. Thanks. Yes?
We're a new-ish customer of Ecrs, and I'm new to the company. And so, do you have I know enough to be dangerous in Ecrs right now, but there's so much to learn that I feel it's. Do you have training videos or a place where you can point me to learn
Absolutely.
more in depth, because there's too much, and I'm too scared to change something, to break something.
Yeah, no, that's
I
absolutely.
want to be trained more,
Yeah, so what we did, and some of this was really pushed along by COVID. We already were headed in this direction, but once COVID hit, we doubled down, and what we did was we have training videos on every aspect of the system, and it's on the portal. So there's a customer portal that you have access to, and if you go on that portal, you can and not only for things that you might want to learn about, which might be at a higher level. But what we recognized was once we get a customer active on the system, and then we have that initial training of their cashiers or other staff, maybe inventory staff or something like that. I mean, with turnover, that's going to change. It could change the following week. So what we did was everybody has the rights to use those videos. We don't charge any extra for them. I mean, there's an initial charge for training when you first get the system, but then you basically have the use of those videos for the life of your use of the system. And they're updated with versions. And there's an online manual too. I don't know if you've seen that, but if you can be in the system and you can click on what you're doing, and it will take you to the online manual in the cloud, exactly where you're doing it. And with every version that we release, that online manual is updated too. So it's always fresh information. I mean, it's, the days of going back to the office and trying to figure out where the manual is for the cash registers, that's all done. So, yeah, what's the name of your store? Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, good. Yeah, I remember when you became a customer. So it's been a few years.
Yeah, it has. And I feel like we don't have anyone who's a total expert. I feel like we all kind of know bits and pieces, which is still kind of scary because there's so much.
Yes. Yeah.
We need to learn more.
Yeah, it's deep, and for the price of the system, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing for what it does. So for being able to handle all of those different things. So, yeah. All right. Yes, sir. One last question here.
Does your package include financials?
Yes. So you can get it where we have a GL interface. So we're not the general ledger, but if you have a general ledger package, and we've interfaced to all different varieties, from something as simple as QuickBooks all the way up to Solomon and that sort of thing. So we have a service that does that to get it hooked up. Yeah. So. Our consultants, we have a general ledger consultant that would actually work with you to make sure that the general ledger accounts are plumbed correctly to work with your accounting system. Yeah, yeah. And they've been, by and large, our consultants are ex-store owners. But the ones who work with the GL are actually CPA.
That's supposed to be the last question, but what percentage of the stores that you service use that GL?
I would say, and this is it depends on their size. So if it's a single store or up to somebody with up to 10 stores, I would say it's probably 80%. But what happens is if you're going and it's a bigger retailer, they've got other tools that they're using to take the transaction log that's coming out of the system and dissect it and move it places, and they're doing their own thing, and we just give them the data. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your time.